Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 19th of July, comes to you from London. And a lot of red on the screen this morning, so we're seeing quite a few market areas just falling back. We'll look at the energy mix last, but we'll start by looking at currency. So dollar strength continues to be a theme here. This is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, and I'm running on Refinitiv Icon. So if you want to know which data services to use in Updata, you can just run multiple data services. I'm running several, and you can just choose from a whole list of compatible data services. So I'm running Refinitiv Icon this morning. This is the weekly, daily, and 60-minute charts, long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market with the corresponding point and figure targets. And we're seeing these two short-term targets on the upside on the dollar. And interesting how the dollar just moved higher and then has continued to edge higher, just showing that inherent strength, looking like it's putting in this higher low and waiting for the higher high, not far away now. So dollar recovery very much on the cards. That means the euro looks weaker against the dollar. It's falling lower. And we see on the medium term and short term charts it's bearish, with this downside target to 115.50, some 2% lower from where we are. The Japanese yen is just looking a little bit stronger than the dollar, and that is normally a little bit of a risk on trade. The dollar has looked strong recently, but just although the dollar is stronger against most currencies short term, the yen is just showing its strength as a safe haven, as a risk on trade. Looking at sterling, we're sitting at 137.20, sinking there against that stronger dollar, medium term bearish now. And if we look at sterling against the euro, we're sitting at 116.44, so also just falling away a little bit there, but still holding on to its medium and long term trends. Bitcoin sitting at $31,600. The key level is 30,000. If we fall below 30,000 here, we deactivate that $107,000 target. We do have a lot of downside targets here, so but mixed targets on the short-term chart, so that's quite key. But on the medium term, we are seeing downside targets, but watch for that 30,000 level. The S&P 500 index was down three-quarters of a percent on Friday, and the Nasdaq falling as well, just testing that short-term cloud for the first time in a while. And if we look at the futures this morning, we're down 0.4% on the Nasdaq future, sliding away there on Friday, and just continuing lower this morning. And the S&P 500 as the Nasdaq future also down, and the VIX volatility is up by 5%. So we're seeing that jump there. That's quite key. That jump through that level there on the cloud. So interestingly, we're seeing the VIX jumping, just showing the market is becoming a bit more fearful. The FTSE futures down 1% this morning. The DAX in Germany down over 1%. So we're seeing European markets sinking lower. The CAC Quarante down 1.12%. Japanese yen is, the Japanese market down 1.2%. The only market really holding its own is the Chinese market, the Shanghai Composite, just holding on there. The Sensex in India also down 1%, still fairly much sideways over the last several weeks. And we do have lots of upside targets on the short-term chart and a very big target on the upside on the long-term chart. The Aussie market was down just under 1%. We'll take a look at the energy mix in a minute. Soft commodities, we're seeing lower, higher, 2% higher on wheat, and on corn 2.5% higher. So we are seeing softs rising. Gold is a bit lower, just falling through the cloud at 1800 level. So holding on to the cloud on the medium-term chart, but just seeing a bit of a sell-off all round really. Silver falling away as well. Platinum down 1%. And palladium actually down 0.3%. So we're seeing precious metals generally selling off as well. Copper also down, but the long-term trend still looking very strong on copper. If we look at bond yields, this is the really interesting one at the moment. Just nudging this previous low that we saw at 125. That's the level we need to hold on the bond yield. And we are seeing pressure for the sell-off. But of course, the big upside targets are only deactivated if we fall back below the 1% mark on bond yields, which was what we saw back at the start of the year. So for the moment, there's no targets really suggesting that, so we just need to keep an eye out. Taking a look at the energy mix now, we've got Brent Crude. We're bearish on Brent Crude this week for the first time in quite a while, and we've got, this is my daily and my 60-minute chart, daily, 60-minute and 1 minute. So this is very short term. This is why we're bearish this week. We've just got lots of downside targets. There's news from OPEC, of course, but the reality is the charts have been bearish for the last few days when we turn bearish below the cloud. So it just looks a little bit like this lower high and now a lower low. So just watching that. We do have still long-term upside targets, but the medium and short-term targets are there. So we're bearish crude this week. Same for WTI. Targets some 2% lower. US nat gas looking a little bit stronger. We're just breaking above the cloud here, so we actually feel that is a bullish sign just above the cloud there, so that's quite key. And we do have this upside target. Just keep an eye on the 1 minute charts there. Coal is edging higher all the time, just an amazing trend for coal. We really have just got this classic move up all the time there, so that's quite key as well. And taking a look at emissions, we're neutral this week. We just feel we've got to see a break of this 54.50 level. It's building a good base, and we have got a few upside targets on the 1 minute chart. Mixed picture on the 60-minute chart. The long-term targets are still in train, but we do now have a short-term target. A downside target. So that's quite key. We are just finding support probably here on the cloud, but just watch that level there for any break. But for the moment, 54.50 is what we're looking for. The UK carbon futures, similar picture. We are actually short-term bearish here below the cloud, just waiting for a break. We've got a couple of upside targets there on the 1 minute chart. Now we've got some price action. Gas markets looking much stronger. We're bullish on all of the main gas markets in Europe this morning. We're seeing here this break as well, so that's quite significant, and that's what we need to just watch, that triangle break, and that's happening pretty much on all the gas markets. A shortage of 1 minute targets. Watch your OTC data for price targets there. We do have this short-term target on the 60-minute chart, and a little bit of an absence on the 1 minute, but we are going to get a target off this move here, so that's what we need to watch for the moment. It's some 17% higher. TTF looking good here as well for a triangle break. Same thing. We're just seeing that break above the cloud, so that's going to be significant as well. And if we look at the seasonal contract, also breaking out of the triangle there, so looking strong. So gas markets looking strong. We're up 1.5% on German power this morning. Starting to look more bullish, but we were neutral purely because we're still in this break. That might change today or tomorrow, but for the moment we are just a little bit range bound on German power, so that is a factor that we're watching there as well. And most of the other power markets similar. Nordic power, the one sort of a key caveat, this looks like it might be breaking lower, and just watch for these downside targets. Nothing on the 1 minute chart. We've got 2 on the 60-minute chart, and if we look at the quarterly contract, the break here is a little bit more clear. We just seem to be breaking that trend lower, and we've got a little bit further to play for on these downside targets. So we're actually just a neutral on Nordic power as well. We were more bullish the last few weeks. That's it for today. Keep an eye on those targets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.